What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show. On today, we are talking about week 6. We're talking about week 7. We're talking about HBCU football. It is the fall. It's sort of cold outside. It's my type of weather in the building. So listen, I'm super excited to get into this weekend of HBCU football. Arielle, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I would love to say that you had the better schedule this weekend. So many blowouts, so many upsets that I was not expecting. But I'm very, very proud of my game in the week that I picked. It was a really, really, really close. I would have loved to see them topple over, but maybe Northwestern has a little bit more to prove.
They definitely got a lot to prove. They got a lot to prove on and off the field, all right? But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about your game of the week, Howard versus Northwestern. Northwestern won, but Howard fought back. It was 23-20. So, Arielle, tell us about the game.
And you know what? Surprisingly, Howard could not hold a candle to Northwestern over this past weekend, shutting them out until the second half. So Howard's not putting points on the board at all until we get into the third and the fourth quarter. And that's when we start coming back. But one of their trouble problems, the red zone error. They got stopped for 2 close touchdowns in the red zone towards the end of the fourth quarter. And that's how they end up losing to Northwestern. But besides that, Quentin Williams, who I'm usually on, who's somewhat of an inconsistent quarterback. Sometimes he has his great weeks, sometimes he has his bad weeks. Didn't do too bad. 18 out of 30 for passing yards, 169 yards. Not too bad. No interceptions because we know he is prone to having one each single game. So I think that was really good that he wasn't as sloppy as he usually is. And mostly, and when we were talking about last week, the running game came into play. Most of their touchdowns, most of them, probably all of them, came off of 3 rushing touchdowns. None for Quentin Williams, who is known for always running it in sometimes. But I think that's kind of smart of him to stay in the pocket, visualize, and try to get the beat or Northwestern. Northwestern, honestly, in this first half was not really one of the best teams that I had saw. They were still feeling like, hey, Howard is an HBCU. We had this conversation before when we play these type of HBCUs, and when we look at them, we're not expecting to really bring any kind of pressure. But coming back into the second half and having those missed fumbles, being forced off the field in the fourth and punts, not being able to convert in the second half of this game really brought Northwestern to those really, really close scores. Overall, it was a really, really good game. I love that Howard fought back. I can't wait to see what they do. I know the MEAC is going to be in tight conference play these next couple of games. Actually, the week after next, we're going to see a lot who's going to end up on top, who's going to end the bottom. We are hoping that Central goes into the Celebration Bowl, but Howard and South Carolina State can make a really, really slick appearance. Just to what's happening at Morgan State. I'm so glad that everybody is safe there after what was going on this past week. But it's now become a little closer race just between Howard and Central, who's going to be at the top. Don't let this loss fool you that Howard cannot come tie for number 1 again or actually beat Central.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the out-of-conference games, the MEAC, they play a lot of out-of-conference games because there's only 6 football-playing schools, because University of Maryland Eastern Shore, they play basketball and other sports. They don't play football. And Coppin State, they play basketball and other sports. They don't play football. So you see a lot of out-of-conference games. Like Howard is playing Yale, on this weekend, and they play them. So I think that we're going to really see, like you're saying, we're going to see a lot of competition. This might be the best we've seen of the MEAC probably in the past few years, since probably A&T left. And I know A&T just left, because A&T was beating everybody down. But I think that we're seeing some parity in the conference. I think that Howard is going to have a lot to say in some of these matchups, but it's still North Carolina Central, Arielle. It's still, they beat Elon this weekend. So I just think that it's still North Carolina Central, but let's hope Howard and Morgan State make it interesting. Okay. Don't give them a red carpet to the Celebration Bowl.
I mean, there could be a red carpet, but at the same time, we have that South Carolina, North Carolina game. You remember South Carolina last year was the first team to give North Carolina Central their loss. And if it wasn't for Howard losing to Norfolk and earlier losing to one of the other teams in the MEAC, they would have been in first place. Now, if North Carolina Central can break the curse of losing their first playoff game, well, not playoff game, when losing their first in-conference game, either against Morgan State or against South Carolina State, then that's an automatic spot. But it really comes down to these teams, and we've been seeing it for the past 2 years, where they all come in conference plays towards the last 6 weeks, and one loss can determine everything. Howard found that out last year. Maybe they'll find it out again. If they don't lose to either South Carolina or Morgan State or Norfolk State and go all the way straight through, it's up to Central not to repeat what happened last year. There's no room for error. So it's anybody's game. I mean, we all want Central to go again. I think Davius Richards and his team deserves to go again. I think their coach deserves to go again. But at the same time, these are like one and done games. And I hate that most of the conference games are played towards the end of the season, but it's also homecoming season. It's also rivalry season. What's a little bit of pressure trying to play all your in-conference games to see who really ends up number one at the end in December? I think that's, it's not good, but at the same time, it makes things interesting.
It definitely does. So yeah, so great game of the week. Howard's getting real close to being one of these, bigger FBS teams. And I'm telling you, I thought this was going to be the game, but we're going to see what happens when they play Harvard, because the academics of Howard University are up to par with Harvard, in my opinion. And they the number 2 HBCU in the nation behind Spelman. So we're going to see what that football like. All right, because both teams have future Supreme Court justices and presidents and vice presidents and senators and all of that. So both teams have them. So let's see what y'all do on the football field, all right? Because we got NFL players at Howard. We got future NFL players, all right? But let's talk about FAMU versus Southern. That was my game of the week. So my game of the week wasn't as bad as previous weeks. This wasn't a blowout. This wasn't anything too crazy. FAMU won 26-19. And there were some questions that were answered on Saturday. So the first question is, has Jeremy Musa's production gone down and should he be benched? No, it hasn't. And no, he should not. Because after all these calls to bench Musa, he played ball. He showcased his arm talent. He threw the ball 53 times. This isn't through a span of 2 games, Arielle. He threw the ball 53 times, completed 31 passes, and he finished the game with 2 touchdowns. He racked up 325 yards and threw 2 touchdowns to receivers Kobe Gross and Jamari Gassett. So I'm just saying, he really showed y'all, oh, y'all want me to be benched? Bet y'all sit down and watch me work. So he really went in on the evening and he went toe-to-toe with Harold Blood. But here's the thing. Harold Blood didn't really do all that great, and that really leads to the second question. Could Southern's defense get some type of help from the offense? Because the passing defense for Southern, yeah, Jeremy Musa threw for over 300 yards, but the defense has been what is the star for Southern University, and they did not really get that much help. Harold Blood threw the ball 12 times. You see Jeremy Musa, he threw the ball 53 times. He threw the ball 12 times, had 8 completions, only 190 yards, and he finished the game with only 1 touchdown. Now you look at that score, 26-19. If there was a better passing attack and they were airing the ball down the field, they probably could have won that game, because FAMU could have been beaten in that game. I'm not going to lie. Like, FAMU looked good. The defense looked amazing, especially on that final drive. But Southern could have won that game. They could have broken the game open had they aired the ball out more. But they were running the ball. The running attack was real good. The defense was nice. So there's a good team in there somewhere for Southern, but they have to figure out the offense. But Arielle, it's a third question that is on everybody's mind as we're all talking about the game, breaking down what happened, is what was Eric Dooley thinking? Head coach Eric Dooley of the Southern University Jaguars. He was coaching with Pete Richardson back in the 90s. He went to 2 straight SWAC championships against Deion Sanders with Prairie View in 2021, and then with Southern in 2022. He lost both of them, but it's neither here nor there. He made it, okay? So listen, he's been coaching for a minute, and he knows more football than me. At least I think he does. I might be getting better. All right, I might be ready to coach the Southern Jaguars and coach us to some wins at this point. But listen, the defense kept them in the game. That rushing attack kept them in the game. But here's the thing: Musa threw his second and final touchdown that put FAMU up 26-19 in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. Southern gets the ball back on their own 28-yard line. So you would think, Arielle, right? Because you watch football, you would think we're going to pass the ball. 2-minute drill. Like, let's do the Tom Brady against the Rams thing last year. We threw that ball, got it down the field real quick, and a touchdown real quick to win the game. And then, listen, fan, you the ball's in y'all court. Now y'all got to do the same thing that we did. Let's put on an offense for show. Coach Dooley is an offensive mastermind. But Arielle, instead of trying to pass the ball down the field and rack up yardage, he decided to run the ball for 2 possessions. So they started off the drive with a rush by Kendrick Rhymes that had no gain. And we all were like, you're running the ball. Why? Like, what's going on? So then the next play, Harold Blood throws a 13-yard completion to August Pete III. So it worked out. 13 yards. Okay, cool. Yeah, keep doing that. Keep doing that. Put some pressure on FAMU secondary to stop you. And then they had a false start penalty. Happens. It's fine. It happens. So then Blood completed. So then Blood completed another pass, 15 yards to Pete. So I'm like, okay, FAMU. All right, now, what you going to do? Because, listen, you got to get ready for that Celebration Bowl now. We pick you to go to the Celebration Bowl against North Carolina Central or Howard or Morgan State or South Carolina State at this point. So, listen, we want to see what's going on. But then they run the ball again to Rhymes. Rhymes ran the ball, only got 3 yards. There was no reason to run the ball at all. So then, Arielle, Harold Blood gets sacked. He gets sacked. He gets pushed back. And they finally decide, you know what? Let's throw the ball again. It goes nowhere. FAMU wins the game. You could literally hear on the ESPN broadcast, which sometimes you don't hear it. You could hear the fans booing. They were like, what is he thinking? You honestly could hear him booing. And even Jay Walker was like, nothing in the game says run the ball in this scenario. Even Jay Walker said it on ESPNU. So here's the thing. So I'm wondering, we all are wondering, why did Coach Eric Dooley decide to run the ball in those situations when you got to get all the way down the field and score a field goal or a touchdown to win the game? Well, Arielle, we have some sound. This is real sound. This is not like no joking like that. We have sound of why he did it. This is him explaining it, and the clip is courtesy of Pat Timlin of NBC 33 and Fox 44.
Well, you always got to look at what the defense is trying to take away from you. If they're going to drop 8 wide throw it and create a fast turnover, now you have no opportunity. So we got to make them play honest, and we saw some things that they were doing that should have given us a big play, even though we were running it. That would have been just as good as a pass play.
Listen, Coach Dooley, with all due respect, I'm going to be honest with you and say that was not good play calling. Okay? Like I said, you know more football than me. All right? I just win championships in dynasty mode in old college football games. You know way more football than me, but that was not a good play. You should not have run the ball in that situation. And the Southern fans think so. I think even the FAMU fans think so. Like, why would you rush the ball in that situation? But overall, Arielle, I don't know where Southern goes from here. Of course, for FAMU and Southern, this game didn't count against the divisional record. Southern actually still has a chance to make the SWAC championship. And like we said, it might go all the way back down to that Bayou Classic to see who makes it out of the SWAC West to probably play FAMU. But I just don't know where they go from here because the offense is a problem. The defense is doing what it needs to do. I believe that Harold Blood is a capable quarterback. I don't think it's him. I think it's the play calling. And if they don't figure it out, you have a lot of teams in the SWAC West, especially Grambling, their rival, that's ready to take the crown, and they're ready to have an opportunity to go to the Celebration Bowl and win a SWAC championship.
You know, since we want to be honest, since Coach Dooley wants to be honest, you know, sometimes the fans and what we see as analysts are not always the same thing of what it's like being on the field and being surrounded by professionals. But in this case, you know, the customer may be right. The fans and us may be right. It's a quick, easy 2-minute drill. First down, every single pass, out of bounds if possible, because I don't know if they had any timeouts left. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like we're just running out the 2-minute clock. So every time I'm throwing a pass, I'm going out of bounds and I'm giving my team at least time to try to get it into field goal range. And if not, try to sneak all the way in there and get a touchdown. Obviously, they needed a touchdown. But in this case, it just, besides a false start, maybe having too many men on the field, ineligible players, an illegal formation, there should be no reason why Like you said, anybody should be running this ball. This is a game that we want to win. This game says a lot between them, even though this doesn't count against them. It does show them what kind of coaches, what kind of team that we're playing against. So the next time, if anything, if FAMU does see Southern again, they're not looking at Coach Dooley and his team like, oh, we're going to be down to the wire. This is going to be a really tough team. We're looking at a coach that if it comes to down to the last minute, he's not going to make the right plays. So we can depend on maybe them missing a field goal, probably running the ball the whole time because they're not going to really attack us, or they're not going to make it down the field, period, because we're just going to stop them and try to force it out. They're no longer looking at Southern's coach and it's just like, oh, he's a threat. They're thinking that he's probably a really bad play caller. And now whenever we play them again, we don't have to worry. There's no predator instinct where it's just like Southern is competition anymore. Like, there's a difference between your players making your team look bad and losing the game than if your coach making a wrong call and losing the game. And I think he'll go back through this week and maybe he'll realize it. Maybe he might stand by his decision, and that's fine. You're the coach. If you want to stand by what you said, cool. But if you stand by what you say, you got to win this next game on the play calls that you do. Because right now, this doesn't look good for the school, and it doesn't look good for your chances going into conference play and going into playoff play and probably seeing FAMU again.
And I think this has to be said as well, is that their last 3 games of the season, they play all of the contenders. They play Alcorn, they play Prairie View, and they play Grambling in the Bayou Classic. I think they're likely to go 0-3. I just think they're going to lose all those games. I think they might play Grambling tough because that's the rival, but I think they lose all 3 of those games, and it's going to be between Grambling, Prairie View, and Alcorn on who's going to make it out the SWAC West. And I think that Grambling, even though they lost last weekend, I still think that they have the upper hand because they have the more explosive offense. And I'm going to bet on a more explosive offense where you're airing that ball out against teams that are really mainly running the ball. So I just think that they're not going to get over the hump. I mean, they have a chance. They can prove me wrong, and I'll gladly be wrong. I'll accept it because I want to see Southern be great. I want to see them get back to where they were in the golden years. But at the same time, something needs to change. And I think that the offensive philosophy needs to change. And I think for a lot of fans, it's either Coach Dooley changes his offensive philosophy or they'll bring in someone that will. And that's just facts, so we'll see what happens there. But let's talk about better topics, Arielle. Let's talk about something else that's way more cheerful. Let's talk about the headlines of the week. So Arielle, listen, I'm a Fort Valley State University graduate, Division II graduate, SIAC. We are out here. These folks gonna stop playing with us because we beating everybody. Okay, we out here beating everybody. Who want the smoke? The Division II football programs want the smoke. You got Virginia State you got Virginia State that's out there. They beat Norfolk. You have Bowie. They beat Delaware State, which I think everybody can beat Delaware State at this point. Listen, Delaware State is struggling right now. But at the same time, you had, Miles College beat Alabama State. They almost beat UAPB. So Division II got something to say, and we tired of folks playing with us. So folks gonna stop playing with us when it comes to watching these games because we have a lot of great games in the SIAC. And Benedict College, who I said has an historic defense. I think that they might have the best defense in HBCU football. They had their first test of the year against Miles College on HBCU Go. I got DirecTV stream to watch the game on the Griot cable. I might keep DirecTV. I like DirecTV. I always like DirecTV. I might keep DirecTV so I can watch some Griot, so I can watch some HBCU football. So like I said a couple weeks ago, Benedict is killing it. They're doing an amazing job. They have arguably the best defense in HBCU football and probably the best defense in the nation amongst Division II teams. But Miles College really tested them because Miles College has a stout offensive and defensive line. But at first, Arielle, it didn't seem as if Benedict was going to have any problem with Miles College. It was a lot of fumbles here and there. Both teams were really being loose with the ball. But Benedict entered halftime up 21-3, and it seemed as if they were going to have a dominant and just competitive performance in that second half. And then it was going to be, hey, all right, Miles College, see y'all later. Next up, we're going back home and we're playing Fort Valley on ESPN2. But Miles College says, not so fast. Don't worry about ESPN2. Worry about us on HBCU Go and the Griot, because Miles College forced an interception from quarterback Aeneas Dennis, and they turned the turnover. They turned the turnover into a 42-yard touchdown, and they trimmed Benedict's lead to 21-9 after the PAT with 6 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So I'm like, okay, so Miles College is fighting back, but I don't think that they're really gonna win this game. I don't think they have a chance. So then here's the thing, Arielle. Miles grabbed another interception from Dennis. And then they had an 86-yard touchdown drive that cut Benedict's lead even more, 21-16. So now I'm like, okay, let me get back to watching this game, because I'm watching the other games. I'm watching FBS games. I'm trying to catch up on other HBCU games that are going on. I'm watching A&T. I'm watching North Carolina Central. I'm trying to see what's going on, because I'm like, this game is over. Come on. But Miles College was like, no, keep it on the Griot. Keep it on HBCU Go. But here's the thing. I expected Benedict to tighten up. I really did. I was like, come on, Benedict. Like, y'all got this. The defense is going to lock up. Dennis is going to get right, and they're going to make it happen. But Miles stopped them. They went for it on fourth down. They stopped them, got the ball back, and they scored a 22-yard rushing touchdown to take the lead after the two-point conversion, extending the lead to 24-21. I was like, oh, my God. Is Benedict about to lose their first game before they play Fort Valley? Oh, my gosh. Is there going to be some weakness that we see from Benedict? Nah, it wasn't no weakness, because they made it happen. They won 27-24, okay? They got the touchdown back, and the defense locked up. They orchestrated a miraculous touchdown drive that put them back up for the rest of the game after a short run by North Air Scotland. And Miles, this is the theme of the weekend, Arielle, Miles had an opportunity. They got the ball back, and they could have scored a touchdown to take the win or to tie the game and send it into overtime. But Benedict's defense, like we see them do before, they stepped up and they stifled Miles College, and they were able to get the win. Now Benedict is going to play Fort Valley on ESPN2. As people are listening to this, listen to us on a Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, the game already happened. So hopefully we're talking about a Fort Valley win next week. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Okay, I'm a little bit, I want to see what happens. I don't think it's going to be an automatic win. I'm realistic, but I think Fort Valley might win this game because we see some weakness right now, and we want to exploit the weakness. But I'm a little bit nervous.
Well, I don't think you really have anything to be nervous about. Just looking at Fort Valley and what they've done this season, already being 5-1 overall. You're only lost to Tuskegee, but every single game after that has mostly been a blowout with an outlier of one game. But for the rest of that, Fort Valley has been looking formidable, and I don't really see. I see a huge test, and I probably see a potential, rivalry building, or already rivalry that's really heating up at this point. But what do you think are some of the things that Fort Valley has to watch against after this game, with Benedict having a come behind win for Miles, a doable win in such respect? But if you're coming from behind against a Fort Valley team that is stumping out their opponents and kind of is navigating this football field very well, what would be the only thing that would prevent Fort Valley from losing to Benedict?
So I think that what could cause Fort Valley to lose is the fact that Benedict has a very heavy pass rush. And we know that after Emmanuel Wilson left, he's now with the Green Bay Packers in the NFL, they were running the ball a lot last year. And what Benedict was able to do at our homecoming last year when they beat us, they were able to stop the run. They were able to contain Emmanuel Wilson. With all the talent he has, they were able to contain him. This year, we're a more pass-heavy team. Like, we're still balanced. We still run the ball, but Kelvin Durham is the feature of the offense. Like, he's not like the Kobe in this relationship. He's now like the LeBron in the relationship. So he's passing the ball. He's stepping back. He's making plays with his legs. He's getting out the pocket, and he's making plays happen. He most likely won't be able to do that against Benedict because they're going to be blitzing. They have a formidable defensive line that is only rivaled to me by Fort Valley's defensive line, because our defensive line is tough too. So Kelvin Durham is going to have to get the ball out quick in the game. They're going to have to really rely on their run offense and really try their best. It might not be Emmanuel Wilson back there, but you have Brandon Marshall. You have a lot of other capable running backs that can establish the run. So it would give Kelvin Durham the opportunity to throw the ball down the field. And I think that, and this is what a lot of people in the SIC media space have been saying, is that Fort Valley cannot go down a score or 2 scores against Benedict, because that defense is not going to let you come back. You give that defense time to rest, you give them something to really rally around, you're not going to be able to come back. So Fort Valley has to play a complete game, is what we all been saying in the SIC space. That's what we all have been saying. They have to continue to play a full game. And the offense has to not be one-dimensional. You can't just pass the ball. You have to do something else. Kelvin Durham can't be the only feature in the offense where he's the one distributing the ball. You got to run the ball. You got to run outside, because Miles had a lot of success, I saw, running outside away from the pressure. So I think that Fort Valley, if they could cook up some plays where they run outside and then they mix it up where you're not expecting to pass, but we run it, you're not expecting to run, we pass it. If they do that, I think that we could win, but it's not going to be an easy game. But here's the thing, real quick, Arielle. I got to say this. A lot of folks playing with us, Arielle. A lot of folks are playing on that Aggie, that A&T champion, Sean Gibbs' name. They saying we not going to score a touchdown. Mind you, it was a couple touchdowns that Miles College scored last week. I was watching it on the Rec TV, Arielle. So I'm like, if Miles College can score some touchdowns, why can't Fort Valley score touchdowns? So I'm like, listen, we going to see what happens, but I think we going to score some touchdowns, Arielle. So that's the next key. Don't let these folks play with us. It's the best team I've seen since 2015, and I saw a 2-8 team, okay? I saw a 2-8 team, Arielle. So I need for Fort Valley to go out there and win this game and just score touchdowns so I can go back. Even if we lose, I could be like, we lost. But I saw some touchdowns, though. We scored 4 touchdowns. So what was you talking about? And they weren't in garbage time. So we just need to just score and just make sure we stay locked into that strategy. And I think we have a chance.
Any Fort Valley people that are listening, Randall literally just gave you the game plan for the play. Go ahead and put Coach Randall specifically on the defense. That's what he loves the most. I mean, if they don't follow this, I don't know what to tell them, because right now that seems like a winnable game. Everything you just said, winnable. All you gotta do, run outside, keep the pressure in, don't be a one-dimensional defense. It sounds good, Coach. Hopefully they listen to you.
Listen, and I hope that everybody watches or have watched, because on Thursday, what we're seeing is that we have what might be a good Thursday night football game with the Chiefs and the Broncos. It might not be, because the Broncos been playing. But also,
it's not going to be a great game. If not this game, it has to be as soon as they don't make playoff contention. Russell Wilson is either going to be a backup or Sean Payton is looking for a new quarterback. This was his probation year. Sean Payton was not playing with him. And even the Saints could have told him when he was playing with Drew Brees, while he was in the negotiations and talking to them about Derek Carr, when he was with Winston, when he was with all these quarterbacks that have gone through the Saints after Drew Brees, Sean Payton does not play. He will put pressure on you. And I don't think Russell Wilson was realizing the kind of pressure that was going to be on the Broncos and taking on such a big dynasty after having a really stable quarterback in Peyton Manning and trying to find somebody after him. I mean, I get the successor talks. I get probably how they thought that Russell Wilson will equivalent to whatever Peyton Manning was, but it's just not working, and Sean Payton is over it. And Sean Payton is not used to losing. We saw that with the Saints. So this may be his last game if he don't get together. He may be looking like, Jets quarterback right now and just trying to figure out what Zach Wilson is going to do with the rest of his life. Russell Wilson has another kid on the way. I think we should start ramping up that he deserves this pay. This super extra bonus high-paying QB play, trying to trade him. And now look at Geno Smith and the Seahawks.
Yeah,
This is really a couple of a season.
Yeah, I mean, but even if this is his last game, I'm just nervous, Arielle, that folks going to be watching Russell Wilson's last game on the Broncos as the Chiefs beat him. Then LeBron and the shop, they're having like a bonus stream. They decide they want to start this week instead of doing it like another game next week. They want to do it when Fort Valley on ESPN2 and Benedict on ESPN2. So I'm like, we competing against what you're saying very well could be Russell Wilson's last game. The Chiefs might make Russell Wilson a stay-at-home father at this point. That's what you're saying at this point. So we might be watching that over the Fort Valley Benedict game. But I'm just saying, if y'all don't want to see Russell Wilson be put into retirement by a dominant Patrick Mahomes attack, watch ESPN2. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. We love LeBron. We love LeBron to go. But listen, LeBron can also watch the game. Like when the Broncos are losing, turn to ESPN2. Amazon will be fine. Amazon support HBCUs. They do support HBCUs. So you can watch the Benedict Fort Valley game and then toss us some money, LeBron. Make us a LeBron school. Listen, put me in the video. Like, listen, we can talk about it. Let's do it.
You know, they had an announcement. They were going to start recording some of the shop's episodes on stage at HBCUs. So that's really good news. And I also just realized that we are wearing Thursday night games colors. I'm guessing you're the Chiefs and I am the Broncos, the losing team. Especially if Taylor Swift is there. It's definitely a losing team. So this may be, you know, all jokes, guys, just jokes. This may be his last game. We never know.
I mean, if Taylor Swift is there, we're not even going to see the last game. They'll have a camera on her the whole game. Her just reacting like, oh my gosh, that's a touchdown, guys. Look, let me give you a hug. It's a touchdown, y'all. It was Travis. Like we want to see the game. We want to see them celebrate down there. We want to see the touchdown celebrations. I love Taylor Swift, but I want to see the game. But I think that on Thursday, it's going to be some good stuff. Like in the fall, it's always a lot of sports, and that's really good. But we wanted to make sure that we support HBCU football, especially Division II, because I think that what we're seeing around HBCU football is that Division II has talent, and they're giving some amazing games. And a lot of folks that are like D1 watchers and they're like real big on that Division I HBCU, they're seeing that, especially in the SIC, the CIAA too, but the SIC, we're giving good football and good matchups. And I think that Fort Valley Benedict, no matter who wins, is going to live up to the hype. But Arielle, so the second headline is Alcorn actually beat Grambling, and they might be back in stride for the SWAC title in the SWAC West. They were dominant in the SWAC East. You're very familiar with the Braves because they played A&T, never won one game. Okay, we know they never won one game. We already know, but they might be back in stride and they might be ready to make it to the SWAC championship. Now, of course, as we know, I didn't expect for Alcorn to win this game. I think that Grambling, no matter what, is still going to be in the driver's seat. But I thought that Grambling was hitting the stride with Miles Crowley under center. But you always have to remember this. Arielle, you know this being an A&T alum, homecoming changes things. Homecoming gives the team a different energy. We saw it with North Carolina A&T and Campbell. That was a classic game that A&T came back and won. Anything can happen during homecoming, and it was Alcorn's homecoming. So Alcorn's players and the coaches, they wanted to get a win. But we got to talk about the fourth quarter. So with 2 minutes and 58 seconds left in the third quarter, Grambling added a 27-yard field goal to their score to extend the lead to 24-19. And it honestly seemed as if Grambling was going to get the win. But Alcorn, they led a game-winning drive that ended up with Alcorn quarterback Aaron Allen, who might be one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, throwing a 15-yard touchdown pass to Tavarius Griffin that put Alcorn up 25-24. And like I said before, Arielle, the theme of week 6 is, hey, we just scored, but you get the ball back and try to win the game. So Grambling had an opportunity with their explosive offense to get the ball down the field and go and try to win the game. And they didn't do that because Miles Crowley threw an interception that left the Braves. They were excited. They were able to celebrate their homecoming with a win, and they're still in contention for the SWAC West title. I don't know what was going on. Miles Crowley has been almost infallible this year when it comes to his play. And we all make mistakes. He'll probably rebound from that for sure. But Grambling could have won that game. They were in control of that game. It was a back and forth game, but they were in control of that game for the most part of that fourth quarter. And then they just let it go, and Alcorn squeaked out with a win. So I think when we look at it, Arielle, you have Grambling, Prairie View, Alcorn. Like we said before, they're really in the running. I think it's going to be really exciting as we get into the nitty gritty of SWAC West play. And Southern's there too, but we don't expect Southern to make it. So, we got to mention them. We don't expect Southern to make it. But, we'll see. But I think the SWAC West is really good this year.
I love how you just threw them under the bus like that. Just a little slight mention, an honorable mention that Southern may be there, but we don't really expect them. I knew Alcorn was going to. I think this was one of the games that we kind of debate about. Like, no offense to Grambling. Grambling is a great school, one of the best schools. The actual, if you will, prime meridian forefather of HBCU sports and football, and one of the most winning colleges, HBCU colleges that we've seen in our time. Just not right now. Alcorn was going to win most definitely. But what kind of confused me is this was a really, like you said, a back and forth game, but a sloppy game when you look at Miles Crawley. 3 interceptions, but you also look at Allen or Alcorn, 1 interception, a lot of drop plays, a lot of messy mistakes from both defenses where you look at it and it was just like, it's not really a good game. It's just who could rise better between the two teams that will learn from their mistakes and end up winning the game. And unfortunately, in this case, it was Alcorn because Alcorn wasn't the best looking team out there. Like you said, Grambling could have won. And there were so many better things that Grambling did. They looked better in their passing. The quarterback actually looked better despite his 3 interceptions. Their defense was, to me, more dominant than it was to Alcorn. Really, this was just a lucky play that he threw an interception 35 seconds into after just being in the lead. So there's not lost hope for Grambling. Like you said, Grambling can learn from this, and when they go into their next game, this will probably look better. But if they keep making these same mistakes and Alcorn just keeps getting lucky, then this may be the end of it. Just like Russell Wilson, we may be looking at one of their last games. It's like that. Sloppy play does not win games. Unfortunately, just Alcorn just came out on top on this one. This was Gremlin's own mistake, their own demise, their own Achilles heel. It all could have been prevented. But of course, going into the fourth quarter and going into such a close game, there are bound to be mistakes. I just rather have a false start mistake than to have an interception.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. And I think that with Miles Crawley, he's going to be just fine. I still think that he is the standard bearer for quarterbacking in the conference. I don't understand why Alabama State let him go and they didn't really play him all that much. Because I think they could have played him way more at Alabama State. Because I think Alabama State would be formidable if they had Miles Crawley, because you have an explosive quarterback. He probably got the offense together, really could have made things happen for them, made some plays happen for them. He could have made some plays happen for them, and then the defense is stout. So I just don't know what happened in regards to that. But I think that Grambling, I'm making a change. So I said it was going to be FAMU and Southern. That was really me wanting FAMU and Southern, wanting the culture, wanting 2 premier programs to go against each other. But I think that Grambling is going to give us, if they make it to the SWAC championship, I think Grambling gives us the better game pound for pound. And I think that if the offense for FAMU, because Jeremy Musa is still a capable quarterback, we saw that. But if the offense for FAMU doesn't match the offense that Grambling can provide, while also taking advantage of a Grambling defense that still is sort of shaky at points, I think that FAMU, the only team FAMU would have trouble against, might be Grambling. We'll see. I'm not trying to disrespect Alcorn. I think Alcorn has a shot. I think Aaron Allen is amazing. He's a great quarterback. And Prairie View, they're still in the conversation, and we'll see that game soon for FAMU. But I just think based on what I've seen these first few weeks, Grambling's offense is not to be played with. And if you can't score with them on a typical game, if you can't score with them, you're going to lose. And I know that's the point of playing sports. You got to score more than the other team, but they have more to score more than a lot of other teams. So we'll see how that works out, and we'll see if Jeremy Musa can start to really get, more plays in the end zone, set the team up for more field goals, more touchdowns. We'll see what happens in regards to that. But speaking of Alabama State, Arielle, so let's get to our games of the week. So my game of the week is Alabama State versus Jackson State. I had to do it. I was thinking about Tennessee State because Tennessee State has been having a really good season. We might see about them next week, but I had to do this because y'all know why. Y'all know he ain't SWAC. I'm SWAC, XYZ, the bro hug, the Obama bro hug. See, folks forgot that when it came to Eddie Robinson and Deion Sanders. Hey, I'm not about to give the Obama bro hug. You've been dissing me all week. So listen, I got to see what happens. That is the logical next step of the story, of the Who is SWAC story, to see what's going on. Deion Sanders might be watching this game. He's not going to watch this game. But let's see. He's not going to watch ESPN Plus to watch this game. But still, this is a game to watch because I think this is a clash of two different styles. So Alabama State's defense is as advertised, but we have to know if the offense will show up to play. So when you look at that defense, they're holding teams to 90.4 rushing yards per game, but the offense is only rushing for 116 yards per game. They're holding teams to 18 points per game, but they're only scoring 16 points per game. That's not how you win games. They're holding teams to a very respectable, considering where we are in college football, they're holding teams to a very respectable 213 passing yards a game. But Arielle, they're only passing for 196 yards per game themselves. The defense needs help. Southern and Alabama State, help the defense out. Defense can win you games, but offense puts the points on the board. And if Alabama State isn't scoring points, they're going to lose the game. But also, can Alabama State stop Irv Mulligan? We talked about Arielle. Irv Mulligan is the star. On the season, he has 611 rushing yards on 108 attempts, 5 touchdowns. Versus Alabama A&M, he had 115 yards on 23 attempts. So, of course, we just said Alabama State holds teams to 90.4 yards rushing. If Alabama State can stop the run, can Jackson State's offense truly get going? That's the question we need to answer. Because Jason Brown, I think, is a good quarterback. But after some of the games I've seen since the South Carolina State game and since the FAMU game, I don't trust that Jason Brown is going to do well against a stout defense like Alabama State. They're giving up a lot of pass offense, but they have a nice pass rush. They can stop the run, and they can force Jason Brown to have to do something, to have to air out the ball. I do not trust him. He played another great defense in Southern. He did well. He did okay. But the star of that Southern game was not Jason Brown. The star of that game was Jackson State's running backs, Irv Mulligan, in that running back room. That running back room rushed for 221 yards on 37 attempts and 3 touchdowns versus Southern in the Boombox Classic earlier this season. And Jason Brown was 16-26, 184 yards, 1 touchdown. So the running backs, they had more attempts than he passed for. So I think Jackson State wins, but those questions have to be answered. I'm picking Jackson State. A lot of folks think folks hate on Jackson State. We not hating on Jackson State because we want to see Jackson State be good. And I said they're going to have a good season. I think they're going to win another game. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think that Jackson State wins this if they're able, especially to establish a dominant running attack.
Yeah, I was the one who, if anybody remembers, I gave Jackson State no hope this season. Them being 4-2 right now is above anything and beyond anything that I could ever imagine. So they're actually having a great season. Randall was the only one that had some kind of hope, and I couldn't give it to them. But going back to this game against Alabama State and Jackson State, a really, really deep, not rivalry, but a little tension there just because of the coaching staff and how they felt about last year before going into this year. And Alabama State, to me, is the only team that can really break down Jackson State and make this one of the closest games that we'll ever see and really put Jackson State to the test of who is a stronger team. And while I'm looking at them, you would think it would be a running back versus running back situation, who has the better one. But we all know Jackson State has it in Mulligan. But we have to be careful when it comes to Alabama State because Alabama State has really, really nice field weapons. They have 2 really good wideouts, specifically talking about in Johnson. He already has more yards combined with 2 of the best receivers that are on Jackson State. So I personally believe that when it comes to Alabama State, playing it in the air and trying to go downfield is going to be the best way that they could overcome Jackson State. Jackson State plays very, very good zone, but when you put somebody man-to-man, there's no one out there that is able to block or even get around Alabama State wide receivers. So they do have the chance in that. And like you said, this is the chance to prove if Jackson State is swag, because their coach wasn't. So is Jackson State still swag? This will be a great time to have those questions answered. And I can't wait to see them. I'm an under the table Alabama State fan because they are just one of the most competitive teams that I have seen in the past 2 years when it comes to playing Jackson State and how dominant they were in these past 2 years. So my vote, if we have to be honest, if we're speaking honest, my vote is going to Jackson State, but I do feel like this is going to be a really, really super close game, and I'm excited to actually see the outcome of this and where this may go. But if we have to move on, unfortunately, my game of the week is Tennessee Tech and South Carolina State. The only thing that comes good after this game, they go into conference play. They play Delaware State first, and then we have that huge rematch against North Carolina Central, and then they go down the field, just keep going to conference play. I think after this game, South Carolina State is about to go up from here, and that's when the competition really, really starts. Now, Tennessee Tech, honestly, anybody could beat South Carolina State at this point. Tennessee Tech could literally play their worst game, and South Carolina State will find a way to ruin it or fumble the game away. I don't really have hope that this may be one of those games that they start building Buddy Pugh and they start building into his technique and start realizing the team that they are within them. I don't see this as a close game either. I do want to give them hope because it will be a great way to win this game and then go into your conference plays, just wins after that. Maybe South Carolina State. Maybe that might be my pick. Hopefully, if things are looking on the up and up, especially after this one, because it's going to be an easy win against Delaware State. That would be a good going into conference play, being 1-0. It'll be nice if they could have this win and the win next week. So South Carolina State hopefully wins over Tennessee Tech.
So I have really nothing much to add. I'm going to pick South Carolina State just because I'm going to ride with HBCU over everybody else. Now, Tennessee Tech, they had a really tough game against what became the 2022 Celebration Bowl champions, North Carolina Central. They had a really tough game with them. So if that team is coming back, they got some weapons from that team, I think it could be a competitive game. But I think, like you said, South Carolina State has to win this game, and I think they will as they go into conference play. But I got to say this real quick, Arielle. I got to go back to Jackson State because you said we're going to find out if Jackson State ain't swag. So I just want to say that Jackson State is very much so swag. Now, Dion might not have been swag, okay? But Jackson State is swag. I want to just say, we got to give the disclaimer because they're like, oh, folks be hating on us. Listen, like Jackson State joined the SWAC in 1958. Since 1958, they produced 93 professional football players, including 4 Hall of Famers, okay? They won 18 SWAC championships, including 2021 and 2022. They got guys in the NFL right now. Shout out to Isaiah Bolden. Hope he does better. Hope he gets a chance to play next year with Patriots, or maybe this year. We're rooting for him. So I just got to say, Jackson State is SWAC, all right? So I don't think Eddie Robinson going to do a song for them. It's going to be Jackson State is for sure SWAC, and I'm picking them to win the game. I'm also picking South Carolina State too, but I just want to just say that because they'll come for us. I'm like, no, listen, they SWAC. No, making it happen. Shout out to Walter Payton. Sweetness out here. You feel me? So I'm just saying.
Listen, this whole time everybody has been coming to Jackson State, even me. And like I said, for them to even be this far is remarkable. And I'm glad that they were in great coaching hands because I literally had no faith in them. There was no way that I could tell you that they were going to be, their record was going to be 4-2. More like the opposite, like 2-4. But shout out to them. Hopefully they win this game. It'd be very big to win this game.
But I told you, I told you. I said I got faith in them. And I think they're going to do it. I knew they weren't going to beat FAMU. I picked it against them for South Carolina State. I knew they weren't going to beat FAMU, but I knew that they were going to fare well in conference because I still think that Jackson State has a better team outside of FAMU than anybody else in the East. And, if they played a Grambling, maybe it would have been a different type of affair. Of course, it would not have been a divisional game. It would have been, of course, like SWAC West versus SWAC East. But I think that FAMU and Jackson State, until proven otherwise, they're the 2 top teams in the conference. So, I mean, like, we're going to really see what happens. I think Jackson State wins that game, but South Carolina State, listen, this is Buddy Pugh's last dance, and we need him to dance. We don't need him to leave and not dance. You know what I'm saying? Only winning like 1 game against his former coach with the Citadel. No, we can't do that. No, not Buddy Pugh. He can't go out like that. No, man. Like, And then they're gonna try to get all these other coaches. They talking about everybody under the sun. They trying to take Chinnisberry from Benedict. They trying to do all this different stuff. Nah, man. Like, let Buddy Pugh do his thing. And they got to win the game. Now, don't beat North Carolina Central. Beat everybody else from North Carolina Central because we want them in the Celebration Bowl. Don't beat them, okay? Throw a couple interceptions, okay? Make it easy for them. But everybody else, like, go get them, Coach Pugh. All right, don't mess up our Celebration Bowl because we trying to get $2 million again. Because A&T not coming back. We trying to get $2 million.
You can't be rooting for a team to lose, but if you do, what you gonna do? That's up to Central. Central is the one with the history for some odd reason. It's back and forth every year who wins that first in conference play against them because that's usually Central's first in conference play. I don't know what kind of kryptonite South Carolina State has on them, but I need them to get it together. Because literally that one game can determine, like how it did last year, if Howard gets that number one spot. And then all our dreams are crushed because Howard
But wait,
against you?
let me ask this then. Let me ask you this. So would it be that bad if it was Howard and like FAMU or Howard and Grambling? Because Howard is Howard. You know what I mean? Like Howard's Howard.
I mean, I think that would be honestly, it would be great if the Celebration Bowl could transfer over to Howard instead of being played in Atlanta. I think that would have been really, really nice just to be up there. But I think Howard would have a better chance of winning a Celebration Bowl against Grambling than they do against FAMU. Howard has a good offense, the second top offense in the MEAC. I would not put them nowhere in the top 10 in just HBCU, like, period, right now. They look good for what they're doing. And right now, it's not like they're doing the bare minimum, but they are scraping the surface of being really good to just survive throughout these games. And this is not the Howard team that we saw last year. The last year's Howard team was dominant, and they went crazy throughout all the games. And it was just unfortunate that they had to lose to Norfolk State and did not make that spot, and they just had to tie. But if Howard was to go against FAMU, I think it would probably be a 2-score game, just the way that FAMU is built. Their defense is not letting Howard go anywhere. They probably would have had more sacks than they would have had yardage on the field. And then you look at Jeremy Musa and the offensive weapons that he has. Williams cannot compare to Jeremy Musa and how he moves and how he works the pocket and how he sees the field. I think that would be a losing game within itself. Now, if they were playing against Grambling, we might get a good game. But that would just be weird. FAMU not making it, but Grambling does. I don't like these what if scenarios. There's too many universes going on right now. Can we stick to our one? Stick to our one.
But wouldn't it be a cool universe, Arielle, if Vice President Kamala Harris is in Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl? Like, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? Like Lance Gross is down there, Anthony Anderson is down there, Boris Kojo and Chris Spencer. They have kids now that are freshmen at Howard, so they down there, and we just make it look like a basketball game, but a football game at the same time. Because celebrities don't be going to football games like that. The Falcons be bringing folks in. 2 Chainz be at the game, Lotto be at the game. But imagine like an HBCU version of that. You got FAMU. We bring Will Packer. All right, we gonna bring a lot of like different folks from FAMU. We're gonna bring LeBron because LeBron tapped in with FAM. Imagine that at the Celebration Bowl. That would go crazy, wouldn't it? Come on.
It would be beautiful if Howard could get there. I don't think they're going to get there. You gotta wish. You have to pray heavily on Central's downfall to one of these teams. And then after that, you can't lose any of your conference play. Like, Howard has to go through this straight with no losses. And then maybe we might have a chance. We might have a Chiefs game on our hands, but HBCU edition. I would love that, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Sorry.
Well, when North Carolina Central, to be fair, got Jay Alphonse from P Valley can come. So, I mean, if he can come. North Carolina Central alum, I mean, he can come. Like we got some other folks that can come too. Lady dope, like North Carolina Central dope too. So they got some people.
I wish I could see my face because, like, you named all these stars from Howard, just beautiful, notable stars. Not saying nobody from anywhere other HBCU is not notable. Everybody's all these HBCUs have notable stars, but you can't even believe it yourself. You name one person from Central. You name like 10 from Howard.
Well, I mean, you know the guy from North Carolina Central. I'm gonna get his name. That was on the Buccaneers in
You don't even know
2021.
his name.
But no,
You don't
but
even know his
I'm
name.
bad at names though. But he got a Super Bowl from North Carolina Central. We can invite him. He can flip the coin, heads or tails. Like he can be there. Show them the ring. Like this is what y'all aspire for. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Like I played with Tom Brady. Like you know what I'm saying? He can do that. North Carolina Central.
It's okay. It's okay, Randall. We just won't have a star-studded game. We won't have a star, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get a good game. We'll have a good game, not just a star-studded game.
Well, listen, A&T is going to be there because y'all might be in the band of the year championship for Division I. So A&T be there. Terrence will be there. You know what I'm saying? We'll get some folks there for A&T. We'll get some folks there.
That's our only championship team right now.
The band.
The band. The band. Besides our women's basketball, besides our bowling team who always has our back, you know, besides tennis, golf, all of them. Besides them, the band for our football season was our winning team. That's who we root for.
Yeah, Blue and Gold March Machine went crazy.
They are going crazy. And I wish I could say the same for our football team. But I love them. No lost love. I love them. I just need them to get their act together.
Hey, listen, big facts. But we already talking about, hypothetical. We ready for December. I'm ready for my birthday. I'm ready for all that different stuff. So we talking about December. But let's talk about what's happening in week 7 because we're almost there at December. So Hampton versus Monmouth. So this is a CAA matchup. Who you got for this one?
I think Hampton comes out with this one. They haven't been looking bad, but they've been looking better than other, opponents that I could say who shall not be mentioned. But I believe Hampton will come out with the win on this.
I got Monmouth because I just think that Monmouth, I'm not too certain that they're going to win. I'm doing this just to sort of have some integrity with my pick because I can't, because I want to pick all HBCUs, but I also want to be right. So I might be wrong in this, but I just think Monmouth will win because I don't like how they collapsed against Campbell. I don't like that at all. Like, you got to beat Campbell. Like, North Carolina Central beat Campbell, you got to beat Campbell. Like, you can't let them come back and then beat you like that. So I think Monmouth wins this one, and then we'll see Hampton be more competitive than CAA. So Howard versus Harvard. Who you got for this one?
You know what? Ryan Fitzpatrick played for Harvard. Really good quarterback in the NFL. So it's not like Harvard doesn't produce, NFL talent. It's just funny to look at a whole bunch of doctors and government officials fight each other before they sit in their office and look at the glory days. Howard is making a really bold statement that they are ready to win against these schools, such as these FCS schools, and it's compelling. And I love the way that they're playing, and I love the game plan that they have going into this. I just, like you said, have to be real with myself. And I believe this could be a close one, just like how Howard proved against Northwestern. But I think this is a loss against Howard and a win against Harvard.
Hey, I just want to say this before I make my pick. Listen, Howard, Elijah Cummings, rest in peace to him. Andrew Young, Vice President Kamala Harris. Thurgood Marshall went to Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, but he went to law school at Howard. And he got his purpose to change stuff for Black folks at Howard. So I'm just saying, we got to say that. Because folks like, Harvard. Howard, they got people. We got Supreme Court justices that came from Howard. We got a vice president and a future president that came from Howard. She was an SGA. She was strolling. Come on, man. She is an AKA. Come on. So I'm just saying. So listen, Howard gonna lose though. I'm not gonna lie to you. Howard gonna lose though.
Did all of that. See, that's what I'm saying. Did all of that just to see that Howard is definitely going to lose to Harvard.
I just don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I can give it a close game because Northwestern that proved that showed me a lot. Even though they lost that game, it did show me that they are competitive. Just beat them in the court and in the system, just not on the field.
In the system.
Beat them in the courts and in other criminal justice systems, just not on the field.
So basically, you said Howard can have Brown versus Board of Education. They can't have the football game though.
Harvard's not letting them. It's definitely not letting them with this program.
Golly, man. I'm always rooting for the HBCUs, but we just got to be realistic. Most likely, and Harvard, Harvard has been good this year too. So I just think that Harvard is going to win this game. I think that I know that Howard's going to lose some pieces to probably the NFL and graduation, but I think that this season, because Howard already has a magic around it with it being Howard. Now, the second best, on the U.S. News World Report, they're the second best HBCU behind Spelman. So I think that Howard is going to naturally draw in people, especially from up north. But I think that with the success that they're having, like them being the MEAC co-champions, then this year they're doing so well against these FBS teams. I think that they're going to get a lot of great athletes that they're recruiting, then a lot of transfers as well. And I think that's when we'll see next year, we'll see them beat a couple FBS teams, especially if they schedule FBS teams that aren't like at the upper echelon. But I just think now with Harvard being an FCS opponent, that is pretty tough. I just don't think that they'll be able to beat them right now. But I think Howard is going to be a beast. And when Davius Richard leaves, we hope he goes to the NFL. I think next year Howard will be next up. We talked about Tennessee Tech versus South Carolina State. I got one for you, Arielle. You ready? No. North Carolina A&T versus Delaware. North Carolina A&T versus Delaware, Arielle. What you got?
I'll just have to, I'm being loyal. That's literally what it comes down to. Loyalty over respect, because A&T has definitely lost my respect as a fan. It's been tiring this season. But I have loyalty to them because I paid them alumni dues and my tuition back because student loans is here to stay. So, A&T, you have my vote, even though I already can tell how this game is going to go.
Yeah. I wish they played better against Villanova. I think they had an opportunity to.
Gosh. They definitely, that game, I hurry up and switched it so fast. I was doing it. We were doing great. And then the mistakes just started piling up and piling up and piling up. I saw so many flags. I really thought the whole screen was yellow. I'm just like,
well, that might have just been Flow Sports though. It might have just been Flow Sports at that point.
Hey, it could have been. Listen. The point is, the disappointment is right. It's sitting like it's heavy on my chest. But I love them, and our loyalty matters more than how I feel. So A&T, go win this weekend.
Listen, I'm picking Delaware, but fun fact, I don't think you know this, Arielle. So back when I was at Fort Valley, this was in 2018, the SIAC was signed with Flow Sports. So most of the games were on Flow Sports. So our SID at the time, I was, in there, I commentated the games the year before. So he asked, hey, Flow Sports needs somebody to film the game. You want to film it? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, okay, so it's a paid opportunity. If you have a second person, you can get a second person to film it. So I got Kristen, she's like my little sister. I got Kristen, Kristen Kirby. She came in, she filmed it with me. We filmed Clark Atlanta beating Fort Valley. It's odd, I know. Clark Atlanta winning. So we filmed Clark Atlanta beating Fort Valley. It was at Fort Valley, right? So they paid me $100 for that game. All right. So I've gotten paid from Flow Sports before, but when they hear this video, I'm not getting no money from them. They might ban my membership. They not gonna play with me. I was formally contracted for a game with Flow Sports. They not playing with me no more. I'm telling you. But I'm watching on Flow Sports. Delaware's gonna win this game. Texas Southern versus Bethune-Cookman. Who you got for this one?
I have Texas Southern. Bethune-Cookman. They put on tough games. It's just finishing them that bothers me. Texas Southern is going to close this out.
Bethune-Cookman's winning this game. I think that,
really?
Yeah, Texas, you got to remember, Texas Southern, they lost Andrew Body for the year. Like, that's their starting quarterback. So Andrew Body is gone. And I think that the team would have been right in the hunt with Grambling, with Alcorn, with Prairie View, with Southern, if Andrew Body was there. I think Andrew Body covers up a lot of the problems of the team, especially on the offensive side, but he's injured. He's taking a medical red shirt because he's injured. So I don't think that Texas Southern wins a game this year. It's up if they play Mississippi Valley, maybe. I don't know, but Jerry Rice is not walking through that door. Like Willie Satellite Todd ain't walking through that door. So they might beat them. But I think Bethune-Cookman is due for a win. And I think that this is the win. So I think that Bethune-Cookman is going to win this game. But speaking of Mississippi Valley and Jerry Rice and Willie Satellite Totten, now I go through that door. It ain't 1985, okay? Mississippi Valley playing UAPB. So who you got for this one?
Who do you think we got for this one, Randall?
My God.
Come on now.
Listen, The UAPB is going to win, but I mean, I really want Mississippi Valley to be great, and it's a part of me that like wonder what Jerry Rice thinks. If he thinks about this at all. Like, you think he thinks about this?
I feel like he chooses his seasons, and that's okay. As a player, sometimes you gotta choose your seasons. This is just not his season. I would not be proud of this. There's a lot of, he's probably not even watching. There's probably a lot of calls like, hey, y'all not doing this right. Do y'all need me to come back? Like, is my old jersey still there? Like, it's more calls of what can we do to help than, oh, I'm so proud right now. And we all have our years. I'm experiencing as an A&T alum that year. So it's not the year for Mississippi Valley State. And that's okay. UAPB can go ahead and take this win.
I think when Jerry Rice, when someone asks him what college he went to, I think he says the 49ers. That's what I think.
You can't be that embarrassed that you choose a college team.
I don't know.
Team. That's where you went.
But there could be a lot of reasons with Jerry Rice. With Jerry Rice, if you saw the commercial, the commercial back in the day, there might be a lot of reasons why he would say that. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. And I've been watching some old school Satellite Express offense. Delta Devils. I've been watching that. I'm watching. It was a game with Alcorn versus Mississippi Valley with Jerry Rice, Willie Satellite Totten. And like it's actually a really compelling game. The funny part about it is that it looks like an ESPN Plus game, though. It's crazy. It's real crazy, but it wasn't ESPN Plus. It's from 1985. Anyway, so it looked real. I was like, did they play this yesterday? Anyway, so Alabama A&M versus Grambling. So who we got for this one?
Honestly, you're going to be really shocked. I'm choosing Grambling over this one. I think Grambling wants to come back up. I think they want to prove that they're in the running right now. I don't have so much faith in Alabama A&M. I know it's going to be a great game, but I think, and I hope I'm right because I never choose them, I hope Grambling wins this game.
Listen, I got Grambling because Grambling's some dogs.
You see? I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
I knew it. I felt it in my spirit. I was like, that's either going to be his answer or he's going to play it. I just knew it.
Grambling some dogs. They excited, ready to go. They ready to win this game. Grambling gonna win easy. like Connor O'Mana, he ain't barking no more. I'm telling you, he ain't barking no more. Them barks are in the whimpers real quick. All right. Listen, Grambling got this by a mile. Like, Miles Crowley gonna go for 600 yards. Like, what? He gonna go crazy. When they play Alabama A&M. God bless them. They should come back to the SIAC. We accept them. They'd be great. You know what I'm saying? Because they were in SIAC back in the day. They left in like 98. Like we were born when they left. Like, it's not like they left in like the 50s. We were born. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and they were really good in SIAC. They were beating everybody. They were beating Fort Valley. They were beating Tuskegee. They were beating Savannah State. They was beating everybody. So it might be time for them to come back.
You want a dominant team to come back home and let you see you'll never see the light of day in any championship or playoff game.
Oh, but it's not 98. It's 2023. It's gonna be like, if they were to come back, we'd be straight. And this is just a joke, y'all. They're not going back. But I'm just saying, like, because they first, the football team is not indicative of the school because they brought in their largest freshman class in history. So Alabama and them are doing just fine, and homecoming was great for them. But I'm just saying, like, if y'all ever wanted to come back, we would welcome y'all with open arms. Like, we give y'all a gift basket. Oh my gosh, like we give them some flowers, some chocolate. You know what I'm saying? We make it happen for them. All right. So Norfolk State versus Tennessee State. I almost made this my game of the week because, listen, Tennessee State needs love, and I honestly think that if Tennessee State wins this game, I might be committed to making one of their next games the game of the week. Because I think Tennessee State deserves a lot of love for what they're doing. Like, for real. I might be like, Tennessee State's the game. Because Eddie George is doing an amazing job. They just beat Kennesaw. I think Tennessee State wins this game, but I think it'll be competitive. Like, typically, HBCUs that are out of conference, when they play, a MEAC or SWAC HBCU, Typically, it's a really good, fun game. The crowd is there. The aristocratic bands and the Spartan Legion. I think it's going to be real good seeing them go back and forth. I think it's going to be an amazing atmosphere for Tennessee State's homecoming. But I think Tennessee State's going to win that game.
I think Tennessee State is going to win as well. And it's funny to me that this game almost compelled you to make them your game of the week, but they also have to win another game to compel you to finally make it on your roster. But to me, I actually think this may be an easier game to win for Tennessee State, just to go ahead and tack that on the tally. So hopefully, and I pray, because they've been doing really, really well, that Tennessee State does come out on top of Norfolk State. But Norfolk State does prove, like, they're sneaky good. They're one of those sneaky good teams from the MEAC where it's just like, don't sleep on them. But at the same time, I think this is a winnable game for Tennessee State to me.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Tennessee State should definitely win this game for homecoming. So last Division I HBCU game, Prairie View A&M versus Houston Christian. So I'm picking Prairie View. I did some digging into Houston Christian. I think that Prairie View could win this game. I think it could be competitive, but I think Prairie View wins this game for sure.
I don't know too much about this other school, but maybe that the Lord is on their side. But I would love to see some kind of competition in a way. Like the SWAC this after week 6 has been absolutely crazy into where they stand in their ratings and where they stand as a team. And right now, I think I need this one game for Prairie View just to really see if they can actually contend with the others. They're leaning their way in there. They're finding their way on the ground and how to make these teams that seem impossible to beat, break them down and find their weaknesses, whether they win or lose. So I need Prairie View to make sure they have that ground game together, make sure they have that structure together, so that way I can see if they're going to be competition going into these last few weeks. So my pick is going to be Prairie View as well.
So real quick, let me just say this for Houston Christian. So the Huskies, right? So I think they're the Huskies. So they beat Arkansas Baptist 66-0. They then lose to Western Kentucky University 52-22. Then they lose to UT Martin 66-7. They beat Southeastern Louisiana 34-19, and they beat Lamar. Lamar is, a pretty good FCS team. They lost to Lamar 21-19. They lost to Lamar 21-19, and they lost to Nichols 38-7. So they're 2-4 on the year. I think this is a good measuring stick for where the SWAC is, because Prairie View is good. Like what Bubba McDowell is doing down there, he has a great program. So I really want Prairie View to win this game. This is a really good measuring stick for where the SWAC is as opposed to out-of-conference teams. And this could add to that tally of out-of-conference teams that they're going to beat. So, I mean, they're not good. But if they're not good and they beat Prairie View, we might have some conversations real quick.
There's going to be a lot of conversations coming out of this week. But now onto my favorite part, which is Division II, because I just love to see the matchups and the predictions that you have, especially after last weekend. Last weekend was a time to be alive. So we'll start with the CIAA. We got St. Augustine's versus Johnson C. Smith. Who you got, Randall?
So Johnson C. Smith has actually been pretty good in the CIAA South. So I think that they're going to win this game. I don't think there's going to be anything too questionable here. I think Johnson C. Smith wins this game.
And then we got one of your favorite commentators, of course, Stephen A. Smith, and his alma mater, Winston-Salem versus Shaw. I can already tell you who might win this game, but go ahead and give me your prediction.
Well, Stephen A. is a Winston-Salem State alum. He's going to be mad at this pick. Shaw is going to win this game. He's going to be screaming.
Listen, I was like, when I saw the second team, I said, they're good. They're good at producing notable alumni. But when it comes to football, it's just not there yet. And Shaw's going to prove it's not there. Well,
let me say this. Under Carnell Maynard, they were really good. We got to remember, they made it all the way to the NCAA Division II championship against Valdosta State. And it was a real conversation that they were going to be like one of the first teams to really get over that hump and really prove that an HBCU is the best team in Division II football. They lost that game in a blowout like just Valdosta State just simply outclassed them. But even the Cardinal Manor years after they came down from the MEAC back to the CIAA, they were really good. What I'll say is this: Cardinal Manor might be free real soon, so you might want to hit them up. Okay.
I'm about to say the key word was "were" here. They were a great school under an old coach.
Well, he might be like he might be back. Okay, wait a minute. He might be available. They might want to hit his line. Like, hey, big head, how you been? Like, you want to link up later? Like,
slide in his DMs. What's the saying? He knows y'all miss him. That's fine.
And Ari, he gonna turn back into dogs now.
You see, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
He gonna turn around into dogs now.
A dog going back to some dogs. It's crazy. Next, we got Elizabeth City versus Lincoln University of Pennsylvania. This is the HBCU, not the other one. Who do you have, Randall?
Yeah, so Lincoln University of Pennsylvania is gonna win this game for sure. I think they're gonna be very formidable in the North. I really want to see what they do against their divisional opponents. I think that they really could play spoiler a little bit. So I want to see what they do. I think Bowie's out of contention. We'll talk about them in a second. I think that it's Virginia State and Virginia Union, and we could see Lincoln University of Pennsylvania play spoiler. And also, I think that Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, of course, there's different criteria, and then we'll talk about the Florida Beach Bowl moving into probably November-ish, but they very well could be a Florida Beach Bowl team because I think that they'll give a really good game against SIC opponent. Like, we'll see if, let's say, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, let's say Fort Valley loses, but they're chosen for the Florida Beach Bowl. I think that could be a good clash in the styles. I think that if Tuskegee were able to make it, that'd be great. Let's say Fort Valley beats Benedict. Let's say, Benedict, let's say they go to the Beach Bowl. They might be out down there, and that might be a good matchup. Lincoln's offense versus Benedict's defense. So I think they're going to have a great holiday, a great Christmas holiday like December, right? But I think they win this game. I'm interested to see what things are going to be for them moving forward.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Bowie since we mentioned them. They play Virginia Union. Who do you have? What's your analysis on them?
Bowie lost to Virginia State 44-16 last weekend for their homecoming. Virginia Union, Jada Byers is back. So that tells you everything you need to know. And he's back. He looks healthy. So Virginia Union is going to win this game outright. Like they might not throw one pass. They might be an Eric Dooley offense. They might not throw one pass. And it might be like, that's a good idea. You got Jada Byers, that might be a good idea. So they might not throw one pass. They're just going to run and run and run and run and still score 70 points on Bowie. So God bless them. We love Bowie. Shout out to Bowie. But no, Virginia Union's going to win.
All right, last one for the CIAA, Livingstone versus Fayetteville State. Who do you have?
Fayetteville State's going to win this game, but Fayetteville State put up a 19-23 score, 7-0 last week. So I don't know. I really don't. Like, they put up like a score from the 1800s. So I don't know. Like they really did. Like they put up a Jim Crow score. Like, where it's like 7-0. You know what I'm saying? Like what? Like with artificial intelligence, with Facebook and X, like you putting up 7 points. Like we got MacBooks and StreamYards and FaceTime, and you putting up 7-0. Like, do I have to go get the newspaper? Like, what in the world? Like, you know what I'm saying? Do I have to listen to the radio? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, golly. So Fayetteville State better, they better do this. They better win. I mean, what the world? So I need Fayetteville State score a 10 points challenge. Okay, that's what we got to do because they can't do this. Yes, 7 points. Like you can't. Like they're the champions. Like they're going up against for sure. We're gonna see what Lincoln does, but they're going up against Virginia State or Virginia Union. Virginia State is undefeated, and they beat a Virginia Union without Jada Byers. So you telling me you're likely going to go back to the CIAA championship against two red hot teams in the North, and you're scoring only 7 points on teams you should be soundly beating? Come on. And I was saying against teams that they played last week for their homecoming. So come on, score over 10 points challenge. Let's go. TikTok challenge. Let's get it.
You real feisty today. You barking today. You
don't make me play that. You want me? No, wait. You want me?
You see, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Oh God. On to the SIC, please. Clark Atlanta, bless your heart, please. They got homecoming coming up. I will definitely be there in that Spellhouse again. Versus Shorter. The score may be longer for the other team, but who do you have?
Homecoming's gonna be lit for them. They got Lotto, they got Quavo, they got Rob 49. Like Rob 49, the amount of money he's made during homecoming, the top, like if he's made $490,000, 49 is the first two numbers. The first two numbers of whatever Rob 49 has made for homecoming will be how much Short is gonna beat them by at this point. So I need you to ask Rob 49 how much money he's made from homecoming. And that's your score at that point. I think that's Shorter. I think Shorter is gonna Rob 49 in everywhere, by the way. Like, what the world? Like, shout out to him. He's having a great fall. Oh my God. Like he is at every homecoming except like a couple, like A&T. Like I guess he ain't ready for the Geo stage. I guess not. But like will Rob 49 be there? Okay. Will Rob 49 be the coach? Because Coach Slater, he got fired. So they're like with the interim coach right now, so I'm just saying, like, it's tough. Like, all seriousness, it's tough for Clark Atlanta. You lose a coach. You hope that a coach like Willie Slater will turn around the program. He was amazing at Tuskegee. I think that Clark Atlanta should be better. Like, they should be a contender in the conference. But I think it's going to take the right person to really turn that program around. I want them to find their chin is buried. I mean, I know that they're our typical team we're going to play like likely every year with Fort Valley, but they need somebody to turn that program around, and I'm rooting for them to actually do that. But right now, they're in a moribund situation. So I just think that they just need to salvage what they can from this season. Maybe beat Morehouse, because I know Morehouse is beating them consistently. Maybe end the season, beat Morehouse, end the season on sort of a high note. And then, like, just find the right person to be the next coach. We have some thoughts, on who's going to be the next coach. We got some thoughts. Like, it's some murmurs going on in the Division II streets on who's coming. You know what I mean? But we're going to see if, what they do next. But I just want to say, do Clark Atlanta students even really care that football team's losing? Like, they just have such an amazing time up there. Like, what? Like, Clark Atlanta's lit. Like, do they care that the team is losing? Do they even care?
When I went to their homecoming last year, they were more on the promenade and at the tailgate than they were at the game. Not to say that the game isn't important, like it's the homecoming game, but you have a better time in the streets than you do in the stadium. That's all I gotta say. Not too much there. Let's get back into the D2 streets. Savannah State versus Central State. Who you got?
So Savannah State just lost to Fort Valley 38-24. That was some get back for last year.
I love that you had to throw that in there.
Oh,
I love that.
Oh yeah, that was a get back for last year. But Savannah State's going to beat Central State. I want Coach Porter at Central State to do better than he has done, because he was back at Fort Valley, and what I understand is this real quick. I wanted to say this real quick, is that as I look back at his time at Fort Valley, his first season, Coach Kevin Porter for Central State, he was at Fort Valley. He won the 2016 SIC championship. We're now in a divisionless format where it's not an East and a West now. We're divisionless. So like Benedict and Fort Valley could play again in the championship if Benedict, let's say Benedict loses a game, Fort Valley lost a game. Those are your two teams, and they're top two teams. Back then it was East and West. So we beat Albany State that year. So that's why we made it, because we were the top two teams in the East Division. And then you had Kentucky State that won some games, and Tuskegee lost the game, I think, to Miles that year, and we played Kentucky State and won. It was a good game, but those were Coach Donald Pittman's over his players. So, I think, 2017, he basically has Pittman's players again. So we look at 2018, he goes 2-8 after he made the championship 2 straight years, one in 2016. 2019, he did better, but they got rid of him, after the season. And then, we moved on, and he lands at Central State. And I just think that he needs time, because I don't think that at Fort Valley he had time, because he won with Pittman's players when it was his opportunity. He didn't really have the opportunity to really try to recruit his own class. I think that Mississippi Valley win will keep him around at Central State. But I just think that them consistently losing, I think that the fan base could sour on him. So I want to see him with an opportunity to build. Fort Valley, of course, is a great program to build. I'm not just saying it because it's my alma mater. It's in Georgia. You got Middle Georgia, Peach County. You got Atlanta. You probably can get some folks from Alabama. And we have like sort of a name. We got folks in NFL, Emmanuel Wilson, Ricardo Lockett, Marquette King. We have Ray for Writers Hall of Famers. So that's like a program that you want to be at where you can build on the previous success. Central State has a lot of great success as well. But at the same time, you probably got to recruit up north to get some folks. So overall, I just want to see him win. They're not going to win this week, but I really hope folks can be patient with him.
And I get you on that. Now we got Kentucky State versus Lane. We do talk about Lane a lot. They've been up and down in our system, but how do you think they'll fare this weekend?
Lane's going to win this game. Kentucky State, they need some time too. They need some time as well. I think Kentucky State will be better in the following years, but Lane should win this game.
All right, then next we got Allen versus Albany State. Who you got, Randall?
I've been choosing Albany State a lot, and that's the rival. I was at the Battle of the Bands for my brother. So my brother, he plays in the band at Northeast High School, and it was a Battle of the Bands on Sunday. It was just great to get out, and it was hot at first. It was hot, but it was great to get out the house, and we out there, and it's so funny because we also beat Savannah State because they beat us at the stadium. We were at Henderson Stadium, and I came back the day after we beat Savannah State. Symbolism, I know. Okay, so basically we're there, and I have on my Fort Valley like baseball. You've seen the baseball jersey. So I'm there, I'm dripped out. I got my hair cut, the beard's right. So I'm just out there. I'm living life, right? So it was a woman, she had on an ASU educator. So I look and I see it's blue and gold lettering. And I'm like, okay, that's Albany State alum. So I don't know what the energy is. So I'm just gonna do my thing. All right. I'm there with my family. I'm having a good time. My brother, they're playing this instrument. So they're having fifth quarter. And she walks up, she taps me on the shoulder, and she says, I'll see you at the Classic. I said, I will see you at the Classic. I don't know, but it's like, hey, I will see you at the Classic, because she know what time it is. Like, she know what time it is. So I just wanted to just know, Albany State, win all your games. Win the rest of these games, and we'll see you at the Classic. Beat Allen. It's going to be a tough game. Allen's good, but we beat Allen 49-21. So see you at the Classic. You better not lose to Allen at this point. We will see you at the Classic, Albany State. Just saying. You better win this game.
Seems like Fort Valley right now is just the standard, because for each and every explanation that you have, it brings up Fort Valley. So I wonder if you can throw some Fort Valley into this Edward Waters versus Tuskegee game that was next on our list.
Oh, I certainly can. I'm excited for this one because, okay, check this out. So I got to shout out my guy Kendrick. So Kendrick, he runs the D2 HBCU football guy Twitter. He's on HBCU Game Days, D2 HBCU Matters segment. I'm glad the Game Day's doing that because, Steven, who's the founder of Game Day, he's a Winston-Salem State alum, so he's a Division II guy. I'm doing a lot of great things. So Kendrick is on there, and I'm pretty sure later on this week, he's going to talk about Fort Valley and Benedict. And Arielle, he just thinks we're not going to score a touchdown. He thinks we're going to get beat down. I'm on our Twitter spaces debating. It was me versus everybody. Arielle, I was standing on business. It was just me. I'm just going after everybody because they just thought that was going to get destroyed. So with me being petty, okay, because everyone want to be, it's so trendy to be petty now. Edward Waters going to beat Tuskegee. They're going to beat them down. Oh my God. Edward Waters, 3 straight wins. Edward Waters going to beat them down. They might not even score a touchdown. How about that? They might even score a touchdown. Well, let's see. Like I said, if Fort Valley not going to score a touchdown, how about you score a touchdown on Edward Waters? The same Edward Waters that almost beat Fort Valley. And they were like, oh, well, we don't know what's going on with this Allen game because Edward Waters, they almost beat Fort Valley. Well, how about this? How about Edward Waters, instead of almost, we take the almost off and they beat Tuskegee? How about that? And then it makes it easier for us to go to the championship and we can run this ESPN2 game back on ESPN Plus. We can run it back. You know what I'm saying? So Edward Waters for the wins. We love Tuskegee, but Edward Waters for the win.
And saving the best for last, who has been in every prediction, who is also in our top headlines. But let's just remind the people of your pick anyway. Fort Valley State versus Benedict. Randall, who you have?
So I have Fort Valley. I said that if I saw something that I would, be objective. I'm not demonstrably saying Fort Valley is going to win. Like, and I'm not saying it because I'm scared or anything like that. Like I always say, Arielle, and you are like this. We're rational sports fans. Like, we're not fanatics in the sense of, we think our team's going to win every game. We're rational sports fans. It's probably because we root for the Falcons. It's probably why.
Yeah, we have to be rational rooting for the Falcons.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and then also the Ravens are struggling as well. So you got that too a little bit. They struggling a little bit. So I mean, we sort of have to be rational because of our professional allegiances to teams, Hawks, Lakers, just different stuff like that. So I try my best to keep that same objectivity. And I am an alum, but also want to be objective with what I see when it comes to coverage. I honestly think Fort Valley can win because I had a conversation on that Twitter space with the president of Edward Waters, Dr. Faison. Dr. Faison is an Albany State alum, and he said, Randall, like, do you realistically believe that Fort Valley can beat Benedict? Like, all joking aside, you really believe that? I said, yes. He said, tell me why. And I said that what I saw from Mouse College, what I saw them do, the pressure that they put on Aeneas Dennis, I think that Fort Valley can do the same thing because Fort Valley has a formidable defensive line. They already have 5 sacks this year, through the first 6 weeks. So I think that defensively, I think that, yes, Benedict's offensive line is really great. They're stout unit, but I do believe that Fort Valley can put pressure on Benedict. I'm picking Kelvin Durham over Aeneas Dennis. I think Kelvin Durham is the best quarterback in the conference. And I think that he showed that against Allen with David Wright, who's a really great quarterback. I think he's shown that. I saw a level of talent in that Tuskegee game when they almost won that game. You saw that game, Arielle, when he threw that touchdown and like literally in the red zone, we could have easily tied that game and went to overtime. So I think that, yes, the pass rush for Benedict, that pass rush is going to be a lot. He cannot just sit in the pocket and just pick apart the defense. That's not going to happen because I don't think they're going to drop back into coverage. I think they're going to rely on the pressure to make him make split-second decisions and try to force him into holding the ball too long, getting sacked, try to get him out the pocket, try to make him throw some interceptions. I think that Kelvin has to be aware of that. I think Looper Danilis for Benedict, I think he's going to be a problem because he's on the offensive line and you have to double team him. That's what we've seen. You got to double team Looper because if you don't double team Looper, if you try really to face him up, just single coverage, he's gonna just push you out the way and get to the quarterback. He's gonna make it hard. So I think that it just really depends. I think that Fort Valley has a chance. I think that Benedict is on a historic run and it's hard to go against history. But what I saw against Miles, Benedict can be beat. Benedict can be beat, honestly. So I think that we can win. Now, we'll see. We'll see, Hurry. It's on ESPN 2 on Thursday. So everybody can see. You don't even got to pay for it. Let's still got TV. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't, I might have something for you. I might have like a little link for you if you want to watch it. Hey, if you want to see it, I might have something for you. So I'm just saying, like, everybody can see it, Arielle. I'm picking Fort Valley, but what I'll say is this. It wouldn't shock me if Benedict won. And I think that Benedict wins if the defense has to be the star. It won't be Aeneas Dennis. It won't be North Air Scotland. It will be the defense. If when we come back here and we record again, and if Fort Valley loses, mark my words, if Fort Valley loses that game, we're going to say it was the defense. And I'm going to tell you what Looper did. I'm going to tell you what the defensive line did. I'm going to tell you how many times that Kevin Durham got sacked. If we lose, if we win the game, we don't know. But if we lose, it's because of that defense.
There you have it. Because, hey, well, I will definitely be watching because I need to hold you to that standard just so I can hear the initial breakdown of everything and get Fort Valley thrown into every single game once again. But it's a really, really good D2 lineup of what we could be seeing going into this week.
For sure. And I think just in general, this football has been amazing. A lot of close games. I know it's been some blowouts, but it's been a lot of close games. It's been an amazing season. It's crazy that we're basically at the end of October at this point. Like October is basically almost over. So we got some great championship football coming up, a lot of great divisional football coming up. Arielle, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at __Ari, or put me in the hot seat on Twitter at @AskRiri__, or follow me on my website at theunnaxedopinion.weebly.com.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.